بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب زدني علما.
The next thing, we'll try to see some example with troubleshooting the static routing. So here what I did is I do have the pre-configured topology inside the packet tracer, as you can see here. So if I just go back to my packet tracer, I just did the configurations here. The static routing is pre-configured here, IP addressing, everything is pre-configured. So what I did is I inserted few issues and we'll try to see how we can fix them. So we just assume as if there is a problem. There are some few troubleshooting issues we need to fix. So let's get started. Let's try to see what are the actual issues here. So the problems we need to solve is the router 1 LAN. So if you just assume here the router 1 LAN is not able to communicate with the router 3 here. So on the router 3 there is something called 3.55. Assume that is an FTP or HTTP server. The user sitting on the router 1 LAN complains that they are not able to access that particular HTTP server. So our job is to figure out and fix it. That is one issue. And the second one is like the router 2 and the router 3 LAN is also not able to communicate with each other. So that is another issue. So we'll go one by one. So probably I try to cover 2-3 issues in this. Whatever the concepts we discussed, we will be seeing those options here. So let's get started here. So the first thing what we will do is we'll go and verify the communication process first. So the first thing what I'll do is I'll move on to this PC and verify the reachability. So as per my topology here, so I'm on this first PC 192.168.1.1. So just to confirm, I'm going to give the ipconfig command and I'm on 192.168.1.1 PC and we'll try to verify the first issue here. So the first issue, it says that we are not able to reach the server. So we'll try to generate a ping request 192.168.3.55 and this is what I'm able to see. So destination host unreachable. What this says is this exactly says that this particular PC is not able to reach server. So which means from 1.1 the packet is going to the gateway. So which means it confirms that the packet is reaching the gateway. That's what it says. But the router 1 is unable to route the packet. That's a problem here on the router 1. So let's try to see if there is an issue with the other PCs. So I do have multiple PCs here. If you check the 3-dot network, so here I'll try to ping to the other devices. So the same issue. So let's try to ping to the 3.2, the same issue. So even though the question says that we are not able to reach this particular server, that's what it says. But actually from this 1.1 PC, I'm not able to reach any of the network. And the output says the packet reaches the router 1. That's what it says. And from the router 1, it's actually not going. So let's go and check from the router 1. So the next thing what we'll do is we'll try to get into the routing table of the router 1. So I'm going to console of the router 1. This is the router 1 console. And we'll try to verify with a show IP route command. So in the case of show IP route, here you can see I do have a network for 192.168.2. network, which is my second network, right? This one. The 2 network. I do have an entry for this via 10.002. That is correct. But on the router 1, there is no entry for this one, which means there is no route in the routing table. Now, if there is no route in the routing table, means there are two possibilities. Either you have not configured at all. In case if you have configured, maybe you have misconfigured. So these are the two possibilities. So the first thing we'll try to confirm whether did we configure or not. So let's see how we can confirm. So we have to say show run include section IP route. Now, if you just try to see the configuration, I do have the configuration for 3-dot network. So there are, now the next thing what I need to do is I need to make sure that the configuration, if it is configured, right? If it is not configured, obviously I will go ahead and configure it. If it is already configured, then I need to make sure that it is correct. So in my scenario, the network ID seems to be okay, 192.168.3.network as per this network ID here. And the subnet mask, now here there is some issue with the subnet mask, because if you just observe here, as per my network, I'm using /24, but here it is configured as /28. So there is something called incorrect mask. That's something I have to fix. And the next one is, if you try to see the next hop address, so as per my routing table from the router 1, the next hop to reach this 3. network, it has to be 10.002. So which means here actually it is configured as 11.002. So there is also issue with the next hop. So the first thing we need to fix the next hop. So I need to change it to 10.002. That's the first thing. Or even there is another way, like, even though you have saying 11.002, the router 1 don't know how to reach this 11.002 because the next hop is not reachable. So you can still use this next hop, but you can also go ahead and write one static route for that. So there are two possible solutions. Either you can change the next hop, or you can just write a static route for 11.network. That also works. So this one, I'll just come to this later. So the first thing, I'll try to fix this part, and then we'll verify how it goes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say no, and then I'll try to remove this configuration from here. Copy this, remove it, and then I'll try to configure with the correct mask. So either I can change, there are two solutions, as I said. You can simply go ahead and change this to 10.002, that should work. Or you can add a static route for 11.network as well. So other solution is, you can also go and say, add one static route. This is again another solution. I'm using /8 here, 10.002. So there are two possibilities. So now if I go ahead and verify now routing table, if I say show IP route static, so you can see the 3. network is there. Of course the mask is wrong, we'll see that later. And it is going via 10.002. So now if I try to ping to the PCs 192.168.3.1, from the router will test. So here from the router 1, I should be able to access this 3.1, 3.2, and also I'll try for this. If everything is okay, that should work. If not, again I have to see a few more things. So we do have a route on the router 1. So let's verify from the PC as well. I'll go to the PC and then I'll try to initiate what reply message I'm getting. I'll try to see that. So if you just try to see, the request timed out message is coming. So I have to change the mask as well. But still, that should work. So as per this output, it says that from the PC 1, the packet goes to router 1, and the router 1 is going to send it to the 10.002. So which means maybe the router 2 is not having a route. So let's go and check the next one. Because if you try to trace, if I just go ahead and trace and verify to this one, you can see it's actually looping here. That's an issue here. Now the problem is on the router 2. So if you just observe here, the packet is going to 1.100, that is router 1, and then it is going to 10.2, and the router 2 is sending again back to this one. So means there is some kind of configuration issue also on the router 2 as a part of my initial configs. So I have pre-configured few things. I just wanted you to know the same process. So let's check on the router 2, because the router 1 we have fixed it. So if you check on the router 2, if you say show IP route static, and here the problem is, because here what is happening is when I'm trying to send a packet from the router, from this 1.1 PC, So the source address is 1.1 and the destination is 3.1. From here, the packet goes to the router 1, and the router 1 forwards to the next hop, that is 10.002. And the router 2 also checks the routing table, and as per the routing table of the router 2, to reach this 3 dot network, the next hop is what? Which is wrong. It has to be this one. So if you remember in the troubleshooting, we have seen if you give wrong next hop, then these are the issues. So here, the configuration seems to be okay, but you have given a wrong next hop. So in my configuration, it has to be 11.002 on the router 2. So that's the problem here. So we'll go ahead and configure. If you just wanted to confirm the configurations, so we'll say remove this configuration, copy paste, and then I'm going to configure the correct next hop. So the correct next hop, it has to be 11.002. So once we do this, I think we fixed it. We'll also confirm on the router 3 as well, because I just wanted to ensure that the router 3 also have the correct configurations. So this is my router 3. If I say show IP route static, you can see there is a 1 dot network and 2 dot network. I think on the router 3 part, there is nothing to worry. So the configuration is correct as per my topology. So which means according to this, the communication should start. So if I try to ping trace now, this time it goes perfect. If you want to ping, you can see the reply is coming from 3.1 and 3.2 also. I should be able to get a reply from 1.1 PC. And there is one more issue is I should be able to reach 55 as well. So in our scenario, we fixed most of the things. Like if you just try to see the router 1 LAN is able to reach, this LAN is able to reach this LAN except this one, right? So why? What is the reason here? The reason is simple, because of the wrong mask. If I just go back, so if I just go back to my router 1, and if we verify the static route configurations, we should say include, and here you can see 3 dot network, and the mask is wrong here, because here as per this mask here, it's saying that according to 192.168, what is that, 3 dot network, and the subnet mask is 240. 240 means it is /16. So which means the range of the IP addresses will be from 0 to 15. That's the range of IP. And again, this 55 falls out of the range. And there's a reason on the router 1, it is providing the communication for this network up to probably 0 to 15 addresses. 0 is network ID and 15 is a broadcast ID as per this mask. And that's where the wrong mask comes into picture. So that's the reason it is not able to reach this one. So as per my topology, the static route, the issue is the wrong mask. So I'll remove this, and then we'll try to reconfigure the same with the correct mask. So in my example, I'm using /24 as per my topology. So as per your production network, probably you need to figure out what is the correct mask, network ID, and the mask you have to verify. Done. So now we'll go ahead and verify the communication process again. This time that should work. So if I try to generate a ping request from 192.168.3.55, so I must be getting a reply. Now you can see the same thing here. These are the few troubleshooting things what we verified. Now we fixed it. This part is fixed. This 192.168 1 dot network is able to communicate with this one. That's perfect. And also the router 2 LAN and the router 3 LAN also is communicating with each other, because if you remember, we fixed the static route, which was wrong direction. So we fixed it. So automatically this router 2 LAN and the router 3 LAN is also communicating with each other. So if we just wanted to confirm that, we can go ahead and check from the router 2 PC, one of the PC from here, and we'll generate a ping request from a command prompt to 3.network, and you can see I'm able to get a reply. So these are some of the things we need to know while troubleshooting. So if you remember in the previous sections, we already discussed the possibilities. The issues may be with the routing configurations, because you see the routes in the routing table, but that might be incorrect. So these are the things we need to check. And if you don't see the routes at all in the routing table, maybe you have not configured, or if you have configured, then make sure that the next hop is reachable. The next hop should be correct, and the next hop should be reachable, and you must have the valid next hop. Means the next hop should be in up and up direction. Now, similar way, the same thing. If you just try to see, there is one more ticket I have added in the slide, but basically this is something what you found in the Cisco books. Probably the similar issues I have inserted. The same thing. If you just try to verify, the question says that the PC, the user sitting here, is not able to communicate with this server. Again, the IP address is same, 55 10.1.3.55. That's an IP address. So the first thing what we did the same thing. We tried to verify to this 10. The reply is not coming. And we try to verify the ping with to 5, which is this one, 3.5. The reply is coming, which means on the router 1, the routing configuration, the routing part seems to be okay. But if it is not able to communicate with some specific part of the network, means there is a misconfiguration of the range. Because if it is able to reach this one, but not this one, means most likely there is no problem in the WAN. There's no problem in the routing and the transit network. So we can confirm that. So there are a few things we can verify, like we can verify with show IP route. And when you say show IP route here, you can see it shows this /29, but whereas the network which is configured is actually /24. And there are a few specific other commands you can use, like you can say show IP route for this particular network. You can see this 5 is present in the routing table, but this 10 is not present in the routing table. And if you go ahead and verify the configurations, here you can see the mask issue. So we need to remove this configuration with this mask and configure with a /24 mask. And that's what we did. And once you go ahead and configure that, then that will start working.